Job 40:15 through 20. I'm going to skip. Behold, now Behemoth, which I made with thee, he eateth grass as an ox. Lo now, his strength is in his loins, and his force is in the navel of his belly. He moveth his tail like a cedar. The sinews of his stones are wrapped together. His bones are as strong pieces of brass. His bones are like bars of iron. He is the chief of the ways of Yah. He that made him can make the sword to approach unto him. I'm going to keep going. He lieth under the shady trees, in the covert of the reeds and fens. The shady trees cover him with their shadows. The willows of the brook compass him about. Behold, he drinketh up a river, and hasteth not. He trusteth that he can draw up the Jordan into his mouth. Example. First, looking at this passage in context with the ones above, it is clear Job knew, understood, and have seen what is being described to him as Yah proves his greatness. The fact that it says, behold now, and this beast was made with thee, should boast of my claim. Second, I know there are some out there that want to say this is talking about an elephant, woolly mammoth, or a hippo. But here's where I need for you to read and understand exactly what's written. I have visited many zoos in my life, and though an elephant and hippo eat grass and are strong like the ox, I have never seen an elephant or a hippo with a long tail, nevertheless one the size of a cedar tree. Have you? Third, will you truly say an elephant is the chief of all the ways of Yah? Really? What about the much bigger whales of the ocean? Fourth, this creature is not only a land animal, but also a water animal. So are the elephants and hippos, you wacko, some of you are probably saying. But do they hasten not to drink up the river Jordan? Elephants use water more to splash and cool their bodies, not drink in massive quantities like scribe. No, this sounds like one of those huge beasts we have all seen on the movies like Jurassic Park. Plain and simple. Later in the book of Job is the explanation of a great sea dragon who Job obviously knew existed. It's long, but many telltale signs are littered throughout the passage. Again, Yah is humbling Job and is basically saying, how dare you ask me anything, son? Under the correct context, check this out. Job chapter 41. And obviously, you know I'm going to skip. Canst thou draw out Leviathan with a hook, or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down? Canst thou put a hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with a thorn? Canst thou fill his skin with barbed irons, or his head with fish spears? Behold, the hope of him is in vain. Shall not one be cast down even at the sight of him? None is so fierce that dare stir him up. Who then is able to stand before me? Keep going. Who can open the doors of his mouth? His teeth are terrible round about. His scales are his pride, shut up together as with a closed seal. One is so near to another that no air can come between them. Out of his mouth go burning lamps, and sparks of fire leaps out. Out of his nostril goes smoke, as out of a seething pot or cauldron. His breath kindles coals, and a flame goeth out of his mouth. When he raises himself up, the mighty are afraid. By reason of breaking they purify themselves. The sword of him that layeth at him cannot hold, the spear, the dart, nor the harbinger. He esteemeth iron as straw, and brass as rotten wood. An arrow cannot make him flee. fling stones are turned with him into stubble. He maketh the deep to boil like a pot. He maketh the sea like a pot of ointment. Upon the earth there is none like him, who is made without fear. He beholdeth all high things. He is the king over all the children of pride. Example. Wow. There are so many things going on in this passage. I know some of you want to say this is some sort of big fish, but again, I must ask you to read exactly what it says. This animal not only has scales and lives in the water, but also has a nose with nostrils of fire and smoke. Whales, sharks, and eels have skin, and reptiles have scales. In the context in which it is being said, this beast was well known and have wreaked havoc upon mankind at one time or another, and no other beast was like it upon the entire earth. Whales cannot make the deep and the sea, two different things, to boil. All whales or sharks can be hunted and killed by man, but this unholy beast's shields of scales makes it impossible to kill. If you look at it with a spiritual eye, this beast is the evildoers, the father and king of the children of pride. But wait, just in case you think I am mistaken or just playing on words, check this out. Amos 9:2-3. Quote, though they dig into hell, thence shall my hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. And though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, which is a mountain, I will search and take them out thence. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence I will command the serpent, and he shall bite them. Example. We know for sure they have strongholds in the earth. Denver Airport. We know they have strongholds in the mountains. NORAD. We know they have strongholds in the sky. Space Station. Now we know they are on the bottom of the sea also. Wow. To command the serpent can only mean the serpent is already down there, laying in wait. Psalm 74:13. Quote, thou didst divide the sea by thy strength. Thou breakest the heads of Leviathan in pieces, and gavest him to be meat to the people inhabiting the wilderness. Example. This statement is in past tense and obviously understood at the time as a factual event. Also notice the word heads is plural, meaning either one beast had many heads or more than one beast was killed. Taking Deuteronomy 8:15 and the travels of the Israelites in the wilderness into consideration, I think it gives credit to this passage as true. I know most of you have the thoughts of carbon dating floating around in your heads right about now, so I will ease your minds with this. According to the New York Times, under errors are feared in carbon dating. Quote, since 1947, scientists have reckoned the ages of many old objects by measuring the amounts of radioactive carbon they contain. New research show, however, that some estimates based on carbon may be erred by thousands of years. Scientists have long recognized that carbon dating is subject to error because of the variety of factors, including contamination by outside sources of carbon. Example. Any scientist worth his salt will tell you no experiment can be performed until a controlled sample is in place. This basically means unless they have an untainted and still living sample, there is no way they can predict the initial carbon content or the rate in which the carbon is decomposing. Unless there is a scientist at the creation of the world that was interested in the rate of carbon decay and wrote all of his findings down, there is no way for carbon dating to be remotely accurate. So many things in nature can contaminate anything, any sample that is not manufactured in a laboratory or maintained under aseptic conditions. Animal, insect, microbial dung, and solar flares are just two common examples that would totally throw off experiment carbon timelines off. Volcano ash, common in antiquity, that is spewed from the core of the earth for thousands of miles in each direction will wreak havoc on the test also. Poisonous gases, floods, massive fires, an increase in carbon monoxide, or the blockage of the sun rays, ice age, Noah's flood, etc., would affect carbon dating tremendously. In fact, scientists have tested the air bubbles from fossilized ambers and concluded there was a 50% increase in oxygen in the air in the days before the flood. This would make mincemeat out of carbon dating methods today. If there was a canopy of water above the earth like the Bible says it was, that would mean the harmful rays of the sun were shielded by the water. That would concentrate the oxygen molecules, thus making everything that breathes air to grow bigger and have much better endurance. Sort of like a natural hyperbaric chamber. It uses air pressure to push extra oxygen into the bloodstream, allowing much faster healing. Every sports team has one, even the late Michael Jackson. Let us not forget, according to the Bible, the plants were made before the sun, thus concentrating more carbon within the plants, which would give an unimaginable number as far as dating is concerned. Seeing all of the huge asteroid craters in the Midwest alone, it is very plausible the sun rays were blocked for a mighty long time. If the sands of the desert can preserve, semi-fossilized, the bodies of the fallen travelers, surely the sands can alter the same unstable carbon molecule that initiates fossilizations in the first place. In fact, if you always remember the process of coal becoming a diamond, everything will start to make sense. Now let's look at this from a practical standpoint. Okay, I live in antiquity and was fortunate enough to build a log cabin for me and my family. When the wood of my home is carbon dated, it will not tell you what year in the history I was alive. It will tell you the age of the tree that I cut down to make my cabin. Likewise, if I was the first person that lived in Africa and fashioned flint spearheads and stone tools, when the flint and stone is carbon dated, it will not tell you the year in history I was alive. It will tell you the age of the rock I used to make my tools. And if any of these objects came in contact with any other organic item at any time in history, microbial dung, etc., additional carbon would be included, thus contaminating your test sample. Whew. That was a lot. Thank you for listening. And please look for the next one. I think it's going to be Yahweh's will. Yah's will is going to be Satan, the devil, Lucifer, the dragon, all one people, all rolled up in one. Alright? Thank you again.